Hey there, I'm Heidi, and this video is going to be about how to reconnect with your inner voice when you're feeling disconnected, not quite in alignment, things aren't quite flowing the way that you want to. And this is a space that has come around, time and time again in my life. And there's one way that I found that really works the best for me to allow things to kind of move through that feeling of stuckness or things aren't quite right. And the best way I can kind of describe that feeling, which I'm sure maybe you're feeling if you're watching this video, is that it's kind of like a sense of detachment from really feeling in line with the world. So I had this experience when I was living in Chiang Mai. I had just moved there, and it was like I could see how beautiful everything was. And I was, on one hand, I felt like I should be excited to be there because I chose to move there, of course. But there was just this sense like I couldn't really feel the beauty. Like I could see it, but I couldn't feel it. I could see that it was there, or like, I'd be in a cafe or going to a yoga class or something, and I still wasn't fully dropping into that environment and really enjoying it. And in retrospect, I realized it was because I was in many ways disconnected from myself. And myself meaning my deeper inner knowing, my intuition, and these kind of voices that I had been kind of repressing in another part of myself, because acknowledging those things would mean that I would have to make big changes in my life. And basically I was not happy in the relationship I was in at the time, and I didn't want to admit that to myself. So then in turn, one part of me, it seems, kind of like repressed these other parts of me that were saying like, hey, you're feeling this, or this isn't right, or trying to get my attention. But yet I was kind of purposely, not really purposely, but a part of me was disconnecting from those parts. And what I understand is the end result, or was the end result during that time, was I was feeling just disconnected from everything. Because I feel like there's either an on or off. It's like you can't selectively turn off your felt sense or your intuition. It's like, oh, well, like I just want to feel the positive things, but I don't want to feel the negative things. It doesn't work that way. So it's like if you kind of turn parts of yourself off in that way, it turns off everything. And that's, in my experience, where that feeling of like disconnection or like maybe even mild depression comes from, because all parts of you are not fully there and alive and able to kind of speak in a sense. And this isn't an easy thing, for sure, because I feel like the way that we're brought up in society is to actually ignore many of those signs, like from our body, from our spirit. Classic example is like, if you're in a job, you just have to like get your shit together and keep doing it. It's like, who cares if you're uncomfortable or burnt out or tired or whatever? It's like, you have to make money, right? It's like, that's I think, a very deep programming, at least, where I come from in the US, so something that I'm still working on, deprogramming from that mentality. So it's not an easy thing to really bring all of yourself back online and feel all the things, because many of those things are going to be uncomfortable, especially if it's things that maybe another more conscious part of you has been kind of like pushing away because of the implications of listening to those things. So I just want to say that first and foremost, that it's not just like, oh yay, listening to your intuition is like always pleasurable and exciting and always will take you higher on the positivity alignment scale. That's not the way that it works. And yeah, and I just wanted to share with you the way that I have most been able to reconnect with those parts, and also knowing that with hearing your inner truth, there might be some difficult truths to hear, right? So going along with that, really the thing that has helped me the most in that process is to intentionally create a non-intentional space. So kind of in a way creating a mini void for yourself. Because I think what happens to a lot of people when they're in that place of disconnection, I mean, myself included, that was my experience, is like you want to cover up that feeling of discomfort and misalignment or whatever it is that you're feeling, that stuckness, and cover it up with, could be anything from partying to, numbing out in other ways. Maybe it's drugs, or maybe it's, distracting yourself with all sorts of things. Maybe it's like constantly putting input into your mind so that there's no space for that inconvenient truth to come through, potentially. I'm not saying it's always negative, sometimes it's something beautiful that comes through, and eventually it does always get to that point. But I think, from my experience, if there's an uncomfortable space, it probably means maybe at first there's some uncomfortable emotions and uncomfortable truths that are wanting to come through, and it's important to really make like an unjudgmental space for those things to come through, right? And something that kind of popped in my mind when I was in a place like stuckness like that was that I am out of my element, right? So then my question to myself is like, how do I get back in my element? And at this point in time, I realized I had stopped doing, the things that I really enjoy, which is like, going to see live music, or maybe it's just to kind of like wander alone for a few hours. Like I used to love doing that, like in the various places I lived in. So that was kind of my portal to reconnect to that space. And I would also recommend, like, first finding that thing where you feel like you can create that mini void, that space for yourself to just be there and listen in an unjudgmental way, with no expectation, no specific outcome, no like, okay, at the end of this 2 hours, I have to feel like this, that kind of like completely defeats the purpose. Because it's all about listening to what might not be consciously there yet, right? Like it might not be consciously online. So this could be like taking a really long walk in nature and not having any distractions, like put your phone on airplane mode or whatever, and just make that time for yourself to not allow other conversations or other thoughts in there, like work stuff, it's like this is just a space to kind of like move and be with what is in the moment, and allowing all of that to come up, whatever is in the moment, and be okay with it. And also not necessarily attaching if like a story comes in and maybe it's something that, something unresolved, just like you would in a meditation. It's like not allowing yourself to go down that thought spiral, but to just say, yeah, that's okay. And also I'm here right now, focusing maybe on the sensation of your feet walking on the ground, the sounds around you, like expanding your vision to include, like a panoramic view, right, of like your present moment. So that is really key. And I guess in a sense, you are still doing something, you're not doing nothing, right? It's like choosing an environment that that you can just completely relax and let go. I think that's really the key points. And I think the other part is also letting go of expectations. So letting go of the expectation that just doing this for one time is going to either give a specific answer or clear everything, or now I'm tuned in again, be like, that's it, It's like, if potentially you are in a place where you're feeling like something has been off, let's say, for quite a while, giving yourself many of these kind of spaces to intentionally basically just listen. And you could do this in the form of a retreat or something, but not everyone has the time to take 5 full days off or something like that. So it's really about creating that consistent space for yourself every day and just kind of seeing what comes through. And maybe having a notebook with you or something if something does come up and you feel inspired to start writing or something. If you're an artist or a singer or something like that, also creating a space for you to use that channel for things to come through without like I'm a guitar player and singer, so not trying to like rehearse a song or for a purpose or for a gig or something like that, but just like I'm actually just gonna like tune in and feel what's in this moment and see what kind of things want to come through. That has also been really supportive to me when I'm feeling like I need kind of like a point of connection, to come back to that inner knowing. So that's it for this video, and let me know how that's helped unstick things potentially for you, and what your experience was in creating an intentional, non-intentional space to just be with yourself and be whatever it is that wants to come through at that moment. So hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.